Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Amber. For this video, I want to talk about all of my books that at the beginning of the year, I had made a list of like 2024 must-reads. Some of them were new releases this year. Some of them were ones that just like last year I had really wanted to get to and I just never did. So we're going to go through all that, see what progress we've made, how many that I have actually read, and how many I have left to read. Some of these still haven't been released, but a majority of them have. I won't go too far in depth with any of these because I just got done doing a video on yes/no maybes on all the books I've read this year, so you're going to get extremely brief things on just the genre. First up on the list was House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. This was the second book in the Crescent City series. I did end up getting to this one. This one is adult fantasy. I gave this like 4 stars. Then we have House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. This is the third book in the Crescent City series. That's why this one got read this year. Again, adult fantasy. This one came out the very beginning of this year in January. Then we have Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. This one had already been out. This is a YA fantasy, but this is another one that I did end up getting to this year. So far we're 3 for 3. Then it was The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is a fantasy. I feel like most everybody knows what The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings is. I have not gotten to this one yet. I do want to get to this one very soon. I don't know why I keep putting it off, but this one is a high priority. And that one leads into the Lord of the Ring trilogy by J.R.R. Tolkien. Again, I haven't gotten to this one yet. This one is fantasy also. Another one that I just really want to get to and I keep putting off and I don't really know why. Typically the beginning of every single fall, I rewatch these movies and I have told myself that this year I'm going to force myself to read these before I watch the movies, and we're getting close to that time of year when I watch them, so I need to hightail it. Then we have Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is a adult paranormal romance. Yes, I did get to this one. This one came out, I want to say February of this year. Yeah, that one was a good one too. Next up is A Fragile Enchantment by Allison Saff. Honestly, I don't know if this is YA. I think it's YA. If it's not, I will put it on the screen if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. YA fantasy romance. This one came out earlier this year and I still have not gotten to it, even though I've put it on like 3 monthly TBRs at this point. I don't want to talk about it. I'll get to it. Then we have Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. This is a contemporary romance. This came out on June 11th and I still have not gotten to it. I have a very long backlog sounds right. That's what I'm going to go with. Of her books that I need to get to, because Bride is the only one that I've read and I have like multiple of her other ones on my TBR cart. I'll get to them eventually. Then we have The Prisoner Throne by Holly Black. This is the second one in the Stolen Heir duology, which is a spin-off of the Cruel Prince trilogy. I did end up reading that when it came out, which I think was in like March of this year. Yeah, I did get to that one. Then we have Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This is the first book in the Powerless trilogy. This came out the end of last year. I really should have looked this up on the books that I've read. But anyway, yeah, I did get to this one. Oh, this is YA fantasy too. Then we have Fathom Folk by Eliza Chan. This one is a adult fantasy and it looks like it might be high fantasy. This one came out February 27th of this year. I really wanted to get to it when it came out and then I just never got around to it, but hopefully soon I will. Then we have Happily Never After by Lynn Painter. This is a adult romance and this came out earlier this year. I don't remember what month, but that one I got to and I really did enjoy that one. Then we have Funny Story by Emily Henry. This one came out in April this year and this is a adult romance and I got to it. 5 stars. Yeah. Then I had on The Scarlet Princess by Robin D. Mao. I don't know how to say that last name, and L. Madison. This one is the first book in the Lachlan Feud series. This is a YA fantasy. This one was already out. This one came out back in January of 2021, but it was one that I had seen a couple people talk about and it sounded really interesting, so I wanted to get to it, but I never did. That one's not on like a super high priority of ones that I want to read this year. It's kind of at the bottom, so we'll see. Then we have Wisteria by Adeline Grace. This one is the third book in the Belladonna series, which is a YA fantasy series, but it's got more of like a dark, grim atmosphere to it. I loved both of the first books. So this series they're all YA fantasy mysteries, I guess, because like in the first one you're following Signa, who she is an orphan and keeps getting moved from family member to family member, but every single person that she lives with ends up meeting like an early death, and then she finally gets passed off to the Hawthorns, and the daughter is like suffering from a mysterious illness, and then that girl's mother ends up appearing as a spirit because she has already passed away, making like claims of poison, and then Signa ends up trying to like hunt down this killer to help the family, and her best chance at finding that is actually teaming up with Death himself. It's an interesting read. That's all I'm gonna say. That's how I'm gonna leave that. You should read it. I really have loved the series so far, and I can't wait for the third one. This one comes out August 20th of this year, and I cannot wait for that one. I'm extremely excited. Then we have The Darkness Within Us by Trisha Levenseller. This one is a YA fantasy romance. This one came out July 9th of this year, and I still haven't gotten to it. I think I'm going to read this one more in the fall. Then we have The Gilded Cage by Lynette Noni. This one is the second book in the Prison Healer trilogy. I did end up reading this one. I actually just finished it not too long ago. It's a YA fantasy. Then we have Glint by Raven Kennedy. This is the second book in the Plated Prisoner series. The Plated Prisoner series. I did end up reading this one. That is a adult fantasy King Midas retelling. Then we have Queen of Myth and Monsters by Scarlett St. Clair. This is the second book in the Adrian Zolda series. This is an adult fantasy. I tried reading this book, and I got to chapter 9, which is 120 pages in. That's where that bookmark went. And I ended up DNFing this. I started this, I don't even know. It was a couple months ago. It's been a hot minute since I started this, but I did end up DNFing it. It's like a soft DNF. I'll probably come back to it maybe in the fall, but I just was not in the mood for this type of book. I don't really remember much about the first one. I remember enjoying the character development of the main female character, and I remember not really overly caring about the main male character. He was just okay. But other than that, I didn't really remember much of what was going on in the first book. But I don't remember there being this much smut in the first book. And that's what I really struggled with this book, is like I feel like it's literally every single chapter of just pure smut, which I'm not one who's like against smut in books. Typically most books that I read has it in there, but this one just felt excessive. I'm gonna try and read this maybe in the fall because it is like mainly focused on vampires, but I just don't know if it's really gonna be for me. I don't know if I'll ever actually end up finishing this book. Then we have Feybound by, is it Sarah El Arifi? I probably butchered that name, and I apologize for it. This one is a adult fantasy. This one, it came out January 23rd of this year. It is one that I was really, really looking forward to, and because I didn't write it down anywhere, and I didn't like save it on any list, I completely forgot about it. So I'm hoping to get to that one by the end of this year also, because that is one that I was really looking forward to. And last but not least, Reckless by Lauren Roberts. This is the second book in the Powerless trilogy. This one just came out not that long ago. I want to say it was the beginning of July. Might have been on the 4th of July. I'm not really positive. I don't fully remember the day, but it was the beginning of July. This one came out. I did read it on the day that it came out, and this is, again, YA fantasy. So let's see here. Out of 21 books, actually it'd be 23 books because Lord of the Rings is a trilogy that I put in there, and I only wrote Lord of the Rings trilogy. So out of 23 books, I've read 11 out of 23 books, which isn't overly great, but it's not bad. We're over halfway through the year, but not by too much. So I'm really hoping that I catch up to this very soon. I did better than I thought I would, honestly. I really thought that I'd pull this list up and there would be like 4 selected off of my whole entire list. I thought I put 24 books on this too, because 24 books for 2024, but apparently I only did 23. I don't know. I really just don't know anymore. I'm not really sure what goes up or what goes on up here like 90% of the time. But it sure feels like a whole lot of nothing. Anyway, that is, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. Also, I don't even want to talk about this month's TBR. We're going to talk about it in the monthly wrap-up next week, but this one, I think, might be the worst I've done on a monthly TBR to date. Yeah, I'm going to stop rambling so I can go read. Maybe somehow I'll get a burst all of a sudden of just speed reading. Thank you so much for hanging out. I greatly appreciate it. What are some of the books that you have wanted to read this year? Like your most anticipated releases, or just a book that you've really wanted to get to for a while? And let me know if you ended up getting to it or not and what you thought of it. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all my future videos. We got a reading vlog coming up and a monthly wrap up, so check those out. Thanks for watching. Bye!